Hey everybody, David here, and today I want to talk about a movie that I just saw recently during the weekend, my long weekend. Happy Canada's Day. Well, it passed, but so it's now July 4th, so happy Independence Day to all you Americans out there. I hope you guys had a great long weekend, and I had a great long weekend over here in Canada. Thanks to Canada's Day on Friday. So it's actually kind of cool that Canada's Day and Independence Day are so close to each other. That's what brings us together this whole long weekend. We all have a long weekend this week. It's really cool, except we had it on Friday, you guys have it on Monday. But anyways, before I get sidetracked on something that I shouldn't, I want to talk about this movie called Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes. I think it was the full title. It's a pretty long title. I cut out that last part, but it was. I'm gonna tell you the truth. This was an actual, really surprising good movie. If you are someone that has enjoyed the new Tarzan movie that's out right now, I thought it was okay. I think this movie is actually a little bit more interesting and better. It's from 1984, so the style of it is kind of different from movies today. You can feel that it's a product of its time. The apes aren't CGI, but it was still interesting to look at. You know, what they had to work with back then, the budget that they had, and you know, people in ape suits can seem a little ridiculous at times, but for what it was worth, it was good for its time. And I really enjoyed this one, mostly because I like in the beginning how they show Tarzan being raised. Like, they actually show his origin, how he got stranded on the forest and was raised by apes, and how his parents died there as well, and how he will eventually be found, how he was found by another man from the outside world, you know, from the human world, and how this man started helping him learn English and human customs. And then we even see him halfway through the movie, we see the second half of the movie, we see him in the human civilization, you know, trying to adapt to that world. And I gotta say, it was really interesting seeing all of that because, you know, the first half of the movie, if you've seen the animated movie, you kind of know all of that. But seeing him actually go to the human civilization and to the city, I guess, London or France, I think it was, I forgot which one. It was interesting seeing him having to adapt and the struggles he was going through. And the loss of his parents, you know, he didn't have his parents there. No matter where he went, his parents were always gone, as well as his gorilla parents, I guess. You know, so I thought the story was really well done. And I read up on this movie and finding out that it was actually nominated at the Academy Awards for Best Adapted Screenplay, because obviously this was based off of the original Tarzan novel of probably the same name, and it was really nice character development for the character of Tarzan. And at first I was starting to think, oh, maybe this is like the continuation. The new one is like a continuation of this movie. I can see why they would do that, but then I found out at the end that it actually isn't a continuation because spoiler alert. Ready? I'm gonna spoil it. The ending. Skip a little bit if you don't want to know. Tarzan actually goes back to the jungle in this film, so it's not a continuation. So with that being said, I recognized Christopher Lambert, who plays Tarzan in this movie. And it's funny because they never mention the name Tarzan once. They either call him John Clayton or Johnny. His grandfather calls him Johnny in this movie. And Greystoke, Lord Greystoke, because I guess that's the family castle's name. I don't know. But it was really interesting seeing Christopher Lambert play this character, especially since I know him as Raiden from the original Mortal Kombat movie back in 1995. So seeing him play Tarzan, you know, an ape-like character, it was really cool. It shows how great of an actor this guy is. And why isn't he still acting today? I don't know. We don't see him much. He was also the Highlander. If you haven't seen the original Mortal Kombat, I think he was in the first two Highlander films as well. It was also interesting seeing Ian Holm, who played Bilbo Baggins in the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, as the guy who finds Tarzan and teaches him the English language as well as English customs. So that was really, it was really cool to have him there because he was already set as a well-established actor, especially since this movie came after the first Alien film from 1979, which he was in that movie as well. So it was really great having him there as this character. We also get the leading actress from Groundhog's Day. Remember that movie? Yeah, she's in this movie as Jane Foster, although she comes in the second half of the movie where she helps Tarzan find love and also helps him to adapt to proper culture. And it was nice seeing her interaction. I thought both Christopher Lambert and her both had nice interactions together. I'm gonna say I was actually pleasantly surprised with this movie because I've never seen this movie before. That's kind of a lie. I have seen this movie before a long time ago when I was a kid. I remember this scene where these two gorillas are fighting, and this ugly-looking gorilla beats on this nice one that seemed like he was the cool one. And you see this gorilla bleeding. Obviously, it's people in suits, so don't worry. No animals, no real animals, I don't think, get injured during this movie. But it was frightening for a kid like me at the time. And so when I saw this scene come up, I was like, oh wow, I've seen this movie before. I just didn't see the whole thing. So it was interesting seeing the whole thing from beginning to end because it was like an all new movie to me. And yeah, one that I can totally recommend that I think is even a little bit better than the Tarzan movie that's out now, where that movie I gave a 6 out of 10. This one I would give a 7 out of 10, probably. Because I did think the story was much better in this one. I liked the character development of Tarzan. It gave me the origin that I wanted to see in live action that hasn't really been done much in live action. And the new movie kind of goes through it, but doesn't really give us too much of it. It gives us little snippets. It's more about Tarzan returning to the wild rather than adapting to this new environment. I would have liked to see a more updated version of that, of what this movie is, and unfortunately we didn't get that with the new one. So if you do want to see a really good live action interpretation of the origin of Tarzan, I totally recommend this 1984 film. So, and the actor who played the grandfather in this movie, whose name is escaping me right now, he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for this film, similar to the way Heath Ledger was nominated for the Joker for The Dark Knight. This actor also passed away sometime before the movie came out, and so they gave him a posthumous Oscar nomination, and he didn't win though. But he was really good in it as well. I liked his character. You can tell at first I thought he was going to be like this kind of character that doesn't want his grandson, but then as soon as Tarzan comes into his life, he greets him with open arms and loves him because he is his family, and he starts to realize this because he sees similarities with his grandson's face and his son's face. So it was really, that character was really nice, and the way it all ends is actually kind of dramatic that I wasn't expecting, and I think works for the movie. And I wish we could have seen, spoiler alert once again, but I wish we could have had Jane go off with Tarzan into the jungle, but unfortunately they actually separate during that point. But for what it's worth, I think this is a movie worth checking out, and I'm gonna leave it at that, guys. I like this movie. I thought it was even better than the one that's out now. I'm repeating myself, but I don't care. So check it out. Subscribe to my channel, like this video, tell me if you guys ever seen this movie. It's called Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, something of the Lord of the Apes, I think it was. And check it out, 1984, Christopher Lambert. And check out my podcast, follow me on Twitter at iCrazyDavy, and check out my Facebook page and subscribe to that too. And with that being said, guys, take care.